Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Shem Shai by Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And I was just watching, the Elder Manata Zakba on live, all the brothers that was on the comment board. It was kind of hard to pull away from that lesson, from that spiritual meal, but I had to get this in. So I just go back and watch it, finish it later. But I want to start off with Ecclesiastes. All right. The third chapter, I'm going to read verses 1 through 9. And I'm reading this based upon a couple different videos that I watched. One with the Silver Report, which I'm going to play some of. And then one of Israeli News Live with Stephen Banoon on the situation that's going on in the so-called Mideast. All right, in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Joel, the third chapter, starting to walk off the pages. And that's going to go. That's how we know that the forced inoculations in the chip is right around the corner, because World War III won't go full blown until that chip has been forced and implemented. So, and we know we're close to that. We're very close to that. But yeah, so without any further ado, let's just jump right into this thing. This is Ecclesiastes, the third chapter, starting at verse 1, and it reads, To everything there is a season and a time, and to every purpose under the heaven. All right? And mainly, we're looking at the end of Esau Edom for 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. I believe the 24th verse says that for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So the end of this Ion or Aeon, I forget how the word is pronounced, Eon, this time frame, this period of time, is Esau's, his rulership is up. He's run his course. All right. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, which makes me think about this series, The Crown, which I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm not. It's all relevant to what I'm saying. But I was just watching an episode of The Crown, and when Diana, I think it's four seasons to it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I kind of watched here and there. I may watch more of it later on. But it just goes to show you that when Diana entered the picture, the royal family's popularity began to fade, because basically she became the number one royal, and she, and the truth of the matter is, everyone knows that they're not royal. And see, so that light is beginning to dim. And see, they were actually jealous and had hatred for Diana because of her popularity, because of her notoriety. Then she went and got herself pregnant, we do believe, with, now that she was a royal, she was pregnant with a child that would have been a person of color, which would have put a person of color, into that false royal bloodline, and they couldn't have that, so they had to get rid of Miss Diana. But nevertheless, it just goes to show you how unpopular that they are in that show, how they really were irrelevant to a lot of the citizens. And when you own the media and you own everything, it's easy to just keep self-promoting yourself and keep yourself in the headlines. But it just turns out through watching that show that many of the citizens didn't care about them, don't feel that they're important, and they definitely do own America lock, stock, and barrel. That's why every time there's a birthday or a marriage or something, that they make such a big deal out of it here in America. And then Harry, as of lately, has denounced his royal connection, and also stated that white people need to apologize for all that they have done. So it's all coming. So their time is up. Their season is up. So let me continue with this now that I've gotten that out the way, because that was heavy on my mind. Verse 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn. I'm going to start at verse 3. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. And we're definitely not in a time of healing or building up. We're in a time of killing and in a time of breaking down, because that's what's happening. You know, that's exactly what's happening in America, around the world. You know, with the gun violence is going up. All violence is going up. Why? Because there's no jobs, there's no money, you should expect crime to increase. It's definitely increased in the Chicagoland area and the surrounding places. It was just a mass shooting by a so-called white man out in Rockford, where he shot only people of color. I believe all Negroes, 3 older people and 3 young people. 3 of them are dead and 3 of them are in the hospital. And he got charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of first-degree attempted murder. So that was a racial attack, which they're trying to downplay, and by their own definition, it was a mass shooting done yet again by a pale male, by a so-called white man. All right, verse 4: a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Well, definitely in America, it's the time to refrain from embracing because of the Crown Royal 19. And the stones are being gathered are the elect. All right? And the 144,000, which are the temple of the Lord, the house of Dawadah, the Bayath Dawadah, the house of David, man. All right? That's what's being built. A time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away. Esau is losing and they're being casted away. A time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. And now the men of the Lord are speaking out boldly, man. And the kingdom is being rend away from Esau, Edom. See, power is never lost, it's just exchanged. A time to love and a time to hate, a time to war and a time for peace. So it's definitely not love and peace. So hate and wars is what's on the table. What profit hath he that worketh in that whereof he laboreth? So you working, and for what? Because I'm gonna make a statement, then it's gonna make sense to you after this video plays. Texas and Florida cannot save America. All right? America needs California and New York's GDP. They need those 2 states, those 2 major places, the city of New York and the state of California, to be fully functioning in order for America to stay afloat. And America cannot go on without those 2. And those 2 are fallen, and many of the rest of the states, and they're trying to replace them with Texas and Florida, and it is not going to work. All right, it's not going to work. All you're going to see is a civil war, division, and bloodshed, because that is what's coming. All right, so without any further ado, the Silver Report.
I'm not sure if you guys have heard about it yet, but one of the fastest growing apps right now is Parler. A ton of people are moving over. It's really a tremendous opportunity to be able to speak freely once again. So make sure to come over and follow us there. It's just at Silver Report. Essentially, it's a great outlet for all the stuff that you can't post other places. So sign up and follow us. That way you always know where you can find the SRU. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description. So we've been covering the small business closures happening in New York City. It's insane. It almost looks like there may be no coming back for New York. And with all of the major companies picking up and permanently moving their operations over to places like Texas or Florida, how do you fix that? How do you undo that? Are things going to be better? We do know the leadership there is referring to this as redistributing the wealth. They want us to believe everything is just fine, but there is a ton of store closures going on in the U.S. Now, in New York City, it's not just the small businesses, but there's a lot of major chains that have been shutting down permanently as a result of this crisis. So many of the most iconic chains so far have filed for bankruptcy, and we saw retail stores close their doors at a pace that we've never seen before. Now, there was a record high 1,057 chain stores, including 70 Duane Reads, 49 Starbucks, and 22 Papyruses. This is just in the past year. Now, if you go back to 2018, 0.3% of all chain stores in the city shut down permanently. Now, this is better than most of the nation. And the honest truth is that New York City's economy is was very, very strong. There's a strong job market, a strong retail market, a lot of commerce, a lot of activity. But now the streets are starting to look like some slums because there's all these unapproved vendors just covering everything. With all of the, so many stores closed down right now. So going back to 2018, 0.3% of all chain stores in the city shut down permanently. So far in 2020, that figure is at 13.3%. But all of those positive gains for the economy in New York have been shattered. In 2020, that figure has surged to 13.3%. Now, this destroys all previous records. And last year, there was just 3.7% of all chain outlets that closed. That was up from 0.3% in 2018. Now, the same thing is happening all across the nation. 100,000 major chain store closures in a single year. It's truly unprecedented. And to make matters even worse, you remember that recovery they said we had following the Great Recession, and they talked about the jobs numbers and were bragging about how wonderful all of their decisions were. Well, most of those jobs, they were in either healthcare, restaurants, or retail. That's what the U.S. economy has become. They have shipped manufacturing out of our country. They've just about deindustrialized us. It looks like the plan moving forward is to continue down that path. But the jobs they replaced them with, which are plenteous or used to be plenteous, would be the retail jobs and restaurant jobs. And we know that many of these businesses are not going to survive this crisis. We showed some data
Let's pause that for a second and go to the scriptures. And it's funny because while I was sitting here listening, it popped across the screen that the brother Stay in the Spirit went live, and the title was New Yorkers. What I saw read quickly was New Yorkers say good riddance. So yeah, it is good riddance. This place is finished, man. But in that same book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, verses 3 and 4, and it reads, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened." And see, there's no jobs, and the people look out the windows and they see no future. All right, verse 4. "And the door shall be shut in the streets, and when the sound of the grinding is low," you don't hear no more machines rattling. You don't hear the rattling of the thundering of the buses coming down the street, the trucks, the horns, the traffic light signals, the countdowns for the traffic light signals, the trains rolling by. None of that. All right, the grinding is low. "And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird," that electric rooster, your alarm clock, "and all the daughters of the music shall be brought low." They just threw that in there. And music sucks. Trap music is straight garbage. Hot ass garbage on like a 98-degree day. You ever been stuck behind a garbage truck in traffic and it's like 90-something degrees? Yeah, like that. Let's go back to the video.
The other day that shows what happens when there's typically some sort of problem or disaster that happens in an area. And the Federal Emergency Management Agency, they're the ones who said that 40% of businesses fail following any kind of emergency like this. And typically, those types of crises are localized, and it doesn't spread throughout the entire nation. This, however, is happening all across the nation. Now, some of the major chains that have filed for bankruptcy so far this year would include Papyrus, Bar Louie, Cristal, Pier 1 Imports, Modell's Sporting Goods, True Religion, J. Crew, Neiman Marcus, J.C. Penney, Tuesday Morning, GNC, CEC Entertainment, Brooks Brothers, Lucky Brand, Ascena Retail Group, California Pizza Kitchens, Lord & Taylor, Tailored Brands, Sizzler, USA, Ruby Tuesdays, Friendlies, Francesca's, the Guitar Center. Now, there was some good news regarding e-commerce sales. They actually increased 50% this year. So there are some retailers that have benefited from these changes. But unfortunately, for many of these chains, it's likely all of that action missed them. Now that the holiday season is over, it's likely there will be another huge wave of store closures and bankruptcies right at the beginning of next year.
That's right.
Now, the restaurant industry is another major.
And let me just add to that too, that they're expecting this attack on Iran to take place in the first week or two of next year, which is just a couple days away, before the inauguration, which means there may not be a change of office at all. If this war starts, all right, not go full blown, but starts. And to tell you the truth, that war is already going on. It just haven't gone full blast yet. But yeah, it's about to get real ugly in 2021.
Your employer for the U.S. Now, they might not pay too much, but there's a lot of people working in the restaurant industry. Now, the National Restaurant Association just came out with a little note. So they said that 40 to 50% of restaurants may go bankrupt in the months ahead if they don't reopen immediately. Now, two major iconic restaurants have already closed their doors. One would be the 21 Club in Manhattan. There's the Cliff House in San Francisco. They shut their doors permanently after over 100 years of business.
Wow.
Now, as all of these businesses
Man, it is a wrap, all right? And then I'm going to read this little report here. It says, everyone is moving to Texas these days, not just the people, all the companies, and it's likely these areas may enjoy huge economic rush from so many productive citizens now want to call their state home. The reason cited by many businesses for their move is Florida and Texas was the high taxes, yet they are still done thinking of new ones. Here's the real problem, because the wealthy who are leaving the states that have the highest outflows are New York, Illinois, California, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Arizona was yet another state showed a very strong interest in number in following the states of Florida and Texas. So once again, everybody flowing to Texas is going to leave every place else bare. And like I said, America cannot survive without the GDP, the high GDP of what was coming in from California and from New York. All right? It's just like the Titanic problem. America is the Titanic. And you can rearrange the seating, the deck seats, and the deck furniture all day long. It's not going to change the end result. This place is falling, and it's falling fast. And you people have a false hope. Why do the heathen rage, man? Why do you want to get back to being normal? There is no normal. Watch the video that was put up called Children of the Reset. Remember that name, Children of the Reset. It's just all visual and music, but like what's that saying that a image, an image is worth 1,000 words. All right, let me grab this last scripture and be done with this. This is the book of James 5 and verses 1 through 5. All right, go now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eating. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rest of them shall be witness against you. All right? The fall of your money is witness against you of your corruption. Ye shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them have reached into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. All right? So these people, the fraud you've committed is crying out around the world. That's why you have uprisings all over the place around the world. And your sins against the Lord's elect has reached the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, the armies of heaven. All right? That's talking about Yahweh, man. All right? Yahweh Shai. Sending back those armies down to handle this business down here. This is verse 5. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth, and have been one time careless in your waste of goods and services, careless in the destruction of trees for paper and destruction of forests for any negative reason. The putting of pollution into waters and into the ground, destroying wildlife, earth, destroying the food. All right? Well, the Lord didn't render it. I mean, the Lord made sure that the earth didn't render its strength to you. So you came up with all this scientific stuff to try to keep your money going versus just simply following the land Sabbath, which would have fixed all those problems. because of your greed, now our food is shit and everyone is sick. All right, everyone's health was failing, fat and obese and sickly. Men's testosterone levels dropping to way before the time. You see, when you got 20 and 30-year-old men with ED problems, something is wrong, man. All right, and who's responsible for that? Esau Edom, the so-called white man, because he's attacking this social distancing, teaching the children not to touch and build. This is like some futuristic horror movie, man. Watch that video. All right, because this is definitely going to cause depopulation, that in which is their goal. All right. Verse 5 again. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth and have been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the days of slaughter. Call halal Yahweh Shanab Shai by Hashem Kwakadash, Wa Abba Ball, Kwam Yasharala.